The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
And I'm the other host, Warren Van.
It is episode 37 of the Warren and Bradley Show. We're recording this on a Monday evening as opposed to our normal Sunday afternoon recording time. So I don't know. I mentioned before that the train frequency going by Warren and Bradley Studios seems to be much more in the evening. So this whole show might just be one giant train break.
We'll have to see if this turns into a problem.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. If there's like 8 train breaks in the middle of the show, I might just edit some of them out. I'll put 7 train breaks in, but I don't know if I'll put 8 in.
It's very actually lovely in here right now in the evening light coming in off the water. Yeah.
I have a view of the bay. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. As I was walking up, I could sort of smell that like sea smell blowing in. Yeah. Like I was at the beach.
Well, when you're smelling the sea, you're smelling rotting carcasses.
Yes, you're smelling things that are dead,
usually,
that are being washed ashore.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
We just experienced the hottest weekend of the summer. Even last year, I don't think it got that hot. We got up into the high 80s, low 90s in Bellingham, Washington.
I will say this about this weekend. I have not heard that many people complain about the heat.
No.
And I don't remember how long. And I don't know what it is. I'm very sensitive to the heat, so I'm too hot when it's 60.
Yeah.
So it was too hot the entire weekend, and I didn't even notice because I'm always uncomfortably hot when it's hot. But everyone was coming in. IT guy John, of course, came in the house at one point, was like, it's too hot, and started slamming windows open. He was upset. Everyone I talked to, I was hanging out with my family yesterday. No one could handle it. The dogs were just like rolling around, just breathing very hard. It was...
Well, I love, it's all degrees and it's all relative to what you're used to. So here in Washington, we have nice summers, usually dry and sunny, but they're upper 70s, low 80s is about as hot as it gets here. When it gets into the high 80s, low 90s, people start freaking out and melting and going insane.
People just... Well, we're not prepared for it, too.
No.
We don't have the air conditioners that everyone else has, No.
So nobody has
Nobody has an air conditioner because it never gets hot here.
No.
So when it does get hot, there's no way to handle it. People just lay around and put like wet towels over themselves and like roll around in pain.
I was actually looking forward to this because... normally I work outdoors and I hate heat when I'm working outdoors. It makes it just miserable and you just want to die. But I'm like, okay, it's going to be the weekend. It's going to be high 80s, low 90s. I'm going to just go to the lake. I'm going to be just amphibian boy for the entire weekend. It's going to be amazing. But of course, that did not happen.
No, that can never happen.
As you all know, I am poor. And that I've had a succession of shitty vehicles throughout the years.
Yes.
Because I buy cars like I'm buying a pair of shoes. Like I wear them long enough, and then once they're destroyed, I just get rid of them.
Well, you're also buying cars they're coming to the end. You're catching them at the end of their life
I buy what I call
cycle.
disposable transportation, where I don't want to spend a lot of money on a vehicle, and I don't want to put a lot of money into the vehicle, but I want it to be able to last for a few years at least, and then I'll just kick it to the curb and
You're
get another one.
not concerned about resale value, let's say.
No, not at all.
Because you'll probably drive the car until it like stops, and then someone will tow it away.
Yes, or it explodes, which happened to the last car. This one, I bought a Volkswagen, which I probably should not have done.
No. Everyone makes that mistake, though.
It was cheap, and I needed a car, and basically, last week, it started just stalling. And it's that beautiful thing that you love in cars where sometimes it'll do it, and sometimes it won't, and you don't know what's going to make it do it, or how to replicate this if you're trying to show somebody, this is what's wrong with the car. Seemed fine to me. Like, just, And you never know. You're driving around just tense as fuck. When is my car going to just cut out in the middle of a busy intersection or on the freeway or something? And so this was happening intermittently throughout the week. And of course, me being the master mechanic that I am, I was doing all this research online, grasping at straws, like maybe it's this, maybe it's this. But it was to the point where it was still running, But then it got to the weekend, I was like, okay, I'm going to actually take it into an auto parts store and try to have them run some of the codes to see if they could figure out if there was some sort of faulty part or something.
Oh, like do a diagnostic test?
I didn't want to pay for anyone to do it, but I thought the auto parts stores, they want to sell you parts, so they'll do the diagnostic.
They have those things at the auto parts stores?
Well, Saturday comes along, I'm like, okay, I'll get this out of the way early in the day. It's already, 80 degrees by this point at like 10 in the morning. I'll get this out of the way, then I'll just go swimming. I'm going to go with some friends and go swimming. Stalled twice on the way to the auto parts store.
That's not good.
Finally made it to a different auto parts store that was closer. Wondering, maybe they'll have a diagnostic thing. They did not.
Uh-oh.
I was like, well, maybe it's the fuel filter. So I bought one at this auto parts store, crawled under my car, put a new fuel filter in, managed to puncture the fuel line at the same time I was doing it, so it was leaking gas everywhere. I was like, oh, shit. That did not help. I then got my car to restart, made it to the other auto parts store. They had the diagnostic machine, but not for a Volkswagen.
Oh.
So then it's like, what the fuck am I going to do? So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to drive my car home and I'll just park it. And on Monday, I'm going to go in first thing before work to a mechanic and pay for them to diagnose what's wrong with my car. So started driving home, stalled, got about another block, stalled, and would not restart. Luckily, a fat man was walking across the street, and he helped me push it into a parking lot.
Oh.
I convinced myself it was the ignition switch. So I bought one at an auto parts store, which was like a block away.
Yes.
And I was walking back and forth to my car, like with tools I needed, all this bullshit. From about 9:30 in the morning to 8:30 that evening, I was working on my car. I ripped the fucking steering wheel off, pretty much the entire steering column to get to the ignition switch. Had to, oh my fucking God, it was horrible. And I looked it up online later, like what the normal labor cost would be for putting an ignition switch in. It's like $400.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes, I see that now. There was this fucking collar on the steering column that you're supposed to use a puller tool to pull off.
Yeah.
So there's this weird spider jaw thing that I rented from the auto parts store. It did not work. It would not work. I got like 3 different ones. I spent hours with this thing, sweat pouring down all over the place. My mom came at one point and was
nice.
trying to feed me soda. She's like, you're dying. Like, yes. And so I'm in this car with leather interior, and it's probably like 110 degrees inside the car. Didn't eat all day, didn't really drink anything all day, was just like crying with sweat. Nothing worked. Then Sunday, I tried a few more things for pretty much all day long. That didn't work. Huh. So then I finally spoke to another mechanic who assures me that he thinks he knows what's wrong. And so I ordered...
That's quite the assurance, isn't it? I think I know what's wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's
But I assure you, I think I know.
I assure you, I think that I'm probably positive that perhaps this might be the exact thing. And so I ordered that, and I'm waiting for it to arrive. Anyway, so that's Carmageddon Part 2.
Cars, huh?
Yeah, and look at you there with no car. Feeling pretty smug, aren't you?
As everyone knows, the Olympics are going on right now, so this is your Olympic update.
Are they still on?
Yes, they're still on. I believe they're going to go for 2 more weeks.
I guess we don't have a theme. Okay, just a second.
Olympic update on the Warren and Bradley Show.
So yesterday I watched some of the Olympics, and I watched some Greco-Roman wrestling.
Ooh.
And apparently they don't wear those ear guards when they do Greco-Roman wrestling.
Really? Did they get cauliflower ears?
Yeah, the guys had cauliflower ears. Ugh. So I don't know why they don't wear those guards.
Maybe it's because it's the Greco version, and the Greeks were
they didn't have the plastics
to wear the plastic
build the guard. And I saw a little badminton, and I had the same discussion with a lot of people this week about the Olympics, too.
Yes.
About the Paralympics.
Yes.
Which, is different than the Special Olympics. It's just for people that are physically disabled.
Right.
How do you have, like, a race in the Paralympics? How do you make it even?
That's interesting.
Nobody seems to understand this.
So do they have the same people, like some guy's in a wheelchair, some guy's got a prosthetic, some guy, and they're all racing together?
That's the thing. That can't be that way, though, right?
I don't know.
But what's the odds that you're going to get everybody that has the same exact disability, so the odds are even?
Maybe the races are just between like 1 or 2 people every time. They have the 200-meter wheelchair, the 200-meter,
Yeah, okay. If there are any Paralympics participants out there,
write into a podcast at
anyone that's
warrenbradley.com.
participated in the Paralympics, explain it to us, because no one I've talked to has understood this, and no one seems willing to look on the internet. Our first story in this Olympic update, Chinese diver Wu Mingjia's family reveal grandparents' death, mother's cancer, only after she won gold.
Was this year in the Olympics?
This just happened.
This just happened.
Yes.
So there's this poor Chinese diver. She's been training for years and years to get into the Olympics. She goes through the Olympics. So did her parents and grandparents died, and her mother got cancer.
Her mother had cancer for years and didn't tell her.
So this wasn't like this just happened.
No, it didn't just happen.
Coincidentally, after she won it.
All these things have been happening to her family over the years. She's just been at like the training center diving all the time.
Because they take you away from your family.
She would like write a letter or whatever they do in China, and then they'd write back and like everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine, Wu. There's no problems here. And then she gets.
I'm sure there was some government censor there reading all their mail as well.
And she gets off the podium after getting her gold medal for the motherland, and they just break all the news to her. And it kind of wrecks the fun of the Olympics for her.
Horrible. So now her winning a gold medal will forever be seared into her memory as the time where she found out the most horrible news about her family. So she can't look at her gold medal without remembering her
dead
grandparents
and her mother's cancer. Well, that's the weird thing, because it's not like they were doing it to protect her necessarily. They were doing it to protect China, so China would get their gold medal. If they were really concerned about her feelings, they would have given it a little bit more time.
This is the fucked up thing about the Olympics, and I don't know how closely the International Olympic Committee monitors countries and how they train, and because I saw some documentary once. It was showing these Chinese girls who were training to be gymnasts. And yeah, when they're 4 or 5 years old, their local school, government minders come to their school and like, oh, she looks like she might have talent. She looks like she might have talent. They grab these people. They're hardly allowed to see their family because they're training for hours and hours and hours every day. Many of them will not make it onto the Olympics, but their entire childhood has been stolen from them as they're forced to do this. And they had this poor little girl who was there. Her dad would come every once in a while, and she was so happy to see her father. And all she could think about was qualifying for the Olympics. And I don't think she made it because this came out several years ago, and I tried to look up who was on the the Chinese team and did not see her name listed. And it was just the saddest thing in the world. She probably killed herself afterwards. It's
silly. It's a pretty big loss of perspective for your society to start doing that to people. Because I'm going to say this right now. I know this is the Olympic update, and it's probably shouldn't be saying things like this. Who fucking cares if your country wins a bunch of silver medals?
Well, didn't we already establish that we don't fucking care about
Nobody
the Olympics?
cares. So let's just leave these kids alone.
Pandering to the audience right now.
All right.
I mean, I haven't been listening to much Olympic news, but one thing that did break through even to me, where I'm not paying any attention, was the whole Ryan Lochte, his mom.
Yes.
She was being interviewed on Today, and she's like, well, Ryan doesn't have time for a relationship. He just has one-night stands.
Yes.
And so there's this big furor over that. The interview became viral, and now Ryan Lochte is saying that his mother did not mean that actually she meant that he just goes on dates.
Yes.
For one night, and then fucks the girl, and then goes and never calls her again.
Which sounds like something that you would say to cover up your mom's frank statement, but I actually think the mom probably meant he just goes on dates.
Well, you've talked to your mom, haven't you?
I've talked to my mom, and you've also talked to your mom, which...
and if you talk to either of our moms, you know that sometimes they make mistakes.
You have to sort of, like, translate what's coming out. You have to understand that maybe they don't understand what they're talking about. They hear the term one-night stand bandied about. They don't know what it means. They assume it means that you go out on a date to, like, the soda fountain.
Right.
And so...
Well, yeah, if you ask my mom... Well, my mom would probably know what, like, hooking up meant or something, but I don't know about your mom. Would she?
Who knows? They miss a lot of stuff. Yeah. So she was just saying this. She's not media trained. But that being said, Ryan Lochte probably does just have a lot of one-night stands.
Well, here's his mom's clarification of the statement. She said, quote, "How innocent is that? All I wanted to say is that he's so sensitive about not wanting to hurt a girl dating. So he just goes and dates and takes out a girl for maybe 1 or 2 dates and doesn't have a relationship because he doesn't have time, and that's not fair to the woman. I thought that was sensitive, but then they turned it around. I'm so not used to this. What kind of mom is going to say that about her son having one-night stands, especially being a mom and having 2 daughters?
That's true, yeah. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Because she would have to be kind of like really weird to say that if she actually meant what she said.
The other Olympic news that I've actually heard this week is that there's a controversy over Serena Williams doing the crip walk after she won her gold. I didn't even know. I saw some YouTube video of her like doing a little dance after she won. I was like, okay, whatever. And apparently that's a crip walk. What is this?
Many years ago, I worked in an inner city school with children
in Old St. Louis.
And everyone was doing the crip walk then, all the kids.
So is it a dance or a walk?
It's a dance.
Okay.
But you have to do this thing where you move your feet. I spent an entire year trying to do it. Didn't get any closer. I don't know what it is. I literally was.
So-
I
so
was
if-
trying very hard. These kids were 6 years old, and they could do it very easily. I could not do it.
If pasty Jufro white boy Warren starts running around inner city St. Louis doing the Crip Walk, what is going to happen to you? It's probably a good thing that you couldn't do the Crip
No.
Walk.
It's just like a fun walk. It's a dance. It's not like something you do if you're a Crip.
So why does it have some sort of gang-related thing then?
Because it's just like you throw it in there, everything's like cool and
Then why are
gangy.
people pissed off about Serena Williams doing it?
Because it's probably a little urban.
So?
People don't like urbanness.
Yeah, they do. It's like
Not
all
a-
our popular culture is urban.
Not the
now.
IOC.
Yeah, I thought.
I don't
it
know.
was
Do you have tape of her doing this? Do we have a YouTube clip of her?
Yeah, maybe we can.
I
put
would
that
like to watch
online.
her do it.
So we're gonna watch the
All right.
video. you guys can go to the website and watch the video as well. I'm sure you've already seen it.
Or
'cause
we'll put the link up or something.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there it is. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so she just has her feet together and she's like bam, bam, bam from one side to the next.
There's
with
something
her
you
hands above her.
Well, there's something you have to do where you put your heel down and your toe up when you do it.
Right.
And I don't know which. There's a trick to it.
I bet I could do it.
Okay. Well, we're gonna work. We'll see if you can do a Crip walk.
All right, we're not going to do that right this minute, but we'll report back to you. Warren will judge my Crip Walk and tell me if it's inner city enough. Let's do.
And if you're looking for a medal count, you've come to the wrong podcast because we don't have that information for you.
no fucking idea,
That's not the kind of Olympic update we're going to do.
and we don't really care. So my weekend didn't start out as horrible as it ended up.
Well, that's good.
Well, we all went out together on Friday. It was IT guy John's birthday.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yes, it was. And, IT guy John, I'm sure he would rather have gone to like a Linux or Linux. How the fuck do you pronounce that? I'm not a nerd, so I don't know. Or a Unix convention. But we got him to come out to a bar.
IT guy John is notorious for like trying to hide his birthday and have people forget his birthday.
Yes. And last year we annoyed him by actually having a party. And I think that was a horror that he is not soon to forget. And so he made sure to tell everyone that nobody could have a party for him. But we did convince him to come out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go out, see IT guy John, see some friends I haven't seen in a while. And so it was okay. I started walking. Actually, within that night, I had a Street Freak of the Week, which we'll get to later.
Oh, I remember as you arrived.
I couldn't talk about it because I had to save it for the podcast. But
Yeah,
I was very pleased by it. I was
You
quite...
arrived at IT guy John's
Yeah.
gathering and said, I just had a Street Freak interaction. And I was like, this is just very exciting.
No, and it was good. It was a very good
Okay,
one.
good.
Well, I don't want to build it up too much now because people are going to be disappointed, but it was good. And then I had some, random douchebaggetry thrown at me as I was
Yes.
walking up as well. This time, okay, tell me what you think of this. I'm walking by a local bar where a lot of doofuses hang out in front of it often. And there happens to be an African-American homeless gentleman
Yeah.
who looks pretty well out of his wits.
Yeah.
He's not there, so to speak. And there's some douchebaggy guys, two of whom have crouched down up against the building with the homeless man and have put their arms around him and are like fucking around with him, making fun of him, prodding at him,
Yeah.
trying to do gang signs with him and stuff. And the guy's just like has no idea what the fuck's going on, while one of their cohorts holds a camera phone up and is trying to take
Oh,
pictures
that's not
of all
in
their
good taste.
poses.
That's
No,
not in good taste.
It's ridiculous. I mean, some people might say that we have fun at the expense of the homeless
I was going
population.
to point that out.
But, ours are it's interactions that we have. I don't go out and try to annoy homeless people. Homeless people come up to me and annoy me.
Yeah.
And I'm just reporting on what has happened. These people were harassing this guy. And so he's trying to take a picture. I'm walking up the sidewalk. I'm like, okay, fuck these people. I walk in front of the guy who has the camera, and I hear a, "What the fuck? Did you see what that fucking guy just did? What the fuck?"
Stepped into your picture of a homeless man.
It's like, can you believe? So, I've been complaining about how rude people are.
Yeah.
Apparently, me walking in front of their drunken, imbecilic, ridiculous behavior and making it ruin the picture they're
Yeah.
about to take with the semi-conscious, comatose homeless man was the height of rudeness, and they
Yes.
were just flabbergasted that I could do anything so completely rude. And they were just bitching. They were bitching about it loudly, so I would turn around and start fucking with them and
confrontation,
have
yeah.
some sort of confrontation. These people were poking and prodding and harassing a homeless man, taking pictures of him and laughing hysterically, and me walking in front of their camera was the rudest thing they'd ever experienced in their entire life.
It's the pot calling the kettle black, really.
Perhaps.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's inappropriate. I've hung out with a lot of people who take a lot of pictures, and I know it's the ethical thing to do when you're taking a picture of some weirdo. or a homeless person is to make sure you have their like permission and
You ask.
to do it.
Yeah. Or you give him like $5 or something.
Yeah, you do something. You don't just like
pay him to exploit him. You don't just do it on,
You don't just like prop him up like he's like an object and then take pictures.
Well,
with
I
him.
always feel weird. Like I could take pictures of many of the homeless people who have been featured in Street Freak.
You
of
did
the
that
Week.
one from your apartment, right?
Yeah, but that was far enough away that his family wouldn't be able to know who it was. Dad. But I don't take pictures because I think that is exploitative.
Yeah, it is. It is exploitative. It's not. I mean, homelessness and drug abuse and like all these problems that we see on the streets, we make light of them because that's all you can do is laugh. If you don't laugh, you'll just cry.
And I do every night.
Well, that's about your life in general.
But the night continued on. We had a good time with John. And all of you people had to go to bed, so you all left at like 11:30.
Oh yeah,
midnight,
that's right. I did
so.
that. I remember that.
But I had a couple friends who were cool enough to go out with me a little longer, so we went to a couple bars. And as the night was wrapping up, now get this. I started walking home,
Yeah.
and I walked by a group of not the brightest young women in the
Yeah.
entire world. And they were having a debate about what song was at the beginning of the Muppet movie that Kermit was singing with the banjo.
Yeah.
And I heard this debate. And so as I was walking by, I was like,
Lincoln Douglas over here. Yeah, it's
I'll do a little
intense
favor
stuff.
for him. And I was like, oh, it was the Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow Connection? What's that? What? That's not the right song.
I was like, no, it's the song. And I proceeded to sing a little bit of the song in Kermit the Frog's voice.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I'm not an impressionist by any means.
No, you're not.
I
You're no
can
Rich Little.
No, I mean, I can do voices, some voices, whatever. But my Kermit the Frog, it's passable. Some
Yeah.
might be like, okay, yeah, that sounds like Kermit
Yeah,
the Frog.
it's above average.
So it was like the, oh no, here's a train.
Oh, it's going to be a short one. It's an Amtrak. So it'll whip right by.
Oh, Warren.
This is a train break.
That's what we're saying.
Oh, your Kermit voice.
So
Cue you.
So I just start singing to let them know the tune of the song. I was like, so someday we'll find it, the Rainbow Connection, and did the little
Kermit.
la do 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 at the end.
Yeah.
And one of the girls goes, wow, and just screams at the top of her lungs. She's like,
Cheryl! Cheryl! Oh my God!
gets her friend over. It's like, sing it again, sing it again. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? They were amazed by the amazing ability of my Kermit the Frog impersonation. I had to sing the entire fucking song, basically, over and over again. I got a group of about 25 of these women. We're just like, oh my God, just amazed by my prowess. Now, I've been in several bands in my life.
Yeah.
I've written songs. I've performed. I've
Never
done,
that level of praise.
Well, nothing even approaching that. Just these drunken girls on the street and me doing a slight Kermit the Frog impression.
I see a one-man show in your future.
I don't know. Just me singing.
Doing the Muppet movie, maybe.
the
But
entire Muppet movie.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
I like it just like I like your interactions with homeless people because you continually like give them things and engage with them for long periods and give them beer or whatnot.
Yeah.
The fact that you actually felt like you had to keep singing the Rainbow Connection for them.
I was flabbergasted by what was happening in front of me, and I wanted to see. Well, I'm not going to say that I thought maybe they would have sex with me as a result of this performance, but they did seem so pleased that there was perhaps some sort of coital thing. That
I know
happened.
there are things that happen where girls get impressed and then they might have sex with a man. I don't think a man walking on the street singing Rainbow Connection and Kermit the Frog's voice is the kind of thing that gets a woman into bed.
Well, maybe it does, Warren. I didn't tell you the end.
You
of the
didn't
story.
bring home a little Miss Piggy?
No, I didn't. But yeah, I was, in some ways it was fun and amusing and kind of put me in a good mood. But then on the other hand, I was slightly depressed by just how easily entertained they were and by how vacuous they seemed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
So we might as well just get this right out of the way. The major story from last week was the Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson cheating scandal.
Yes.
We still don't know for sure if they're breaking up. Apparently, Robert Pattinson has been hiding out on Reese Witherspoon's ranch. Why is that so hilarious?
Is that true?
It's true.
So Reese Witherspoon just like has a ranch for like sad celebrities and they just get to hang out there with the horses and stuff?
I don't know, but it's a 7-acre, $7 million ranch in Ojai, California. And Reese Witherspoon is like, you're heartbroken. Come hide out here. He's been sequestered in this ranch. And apparently Kristen Stewart has been texting and calling, and he's just ignoring her. He's in a huff right now. I'm
more interested in how these arrangements with Reese Witherspoon were made.
I know.
How do they know each other?
I don't know.
Have they been in movies together?
That's that weird thing of, you're famous. Hey, I'm famous too.
So it's just
let's be friends.
It's like being in a club or being in a gang or being like the alumni of a certain college. You're like, oh, you can come and hang out with me.
I guess.
You went to the University of New Mexico.
Elton John was famous for this. He'd always like somebody who was, I don't know, had some scandal or was recovering from being an addict. He'd be like, oh, come on, love, come live in my house. And they would come to Elton John's place and he would take care of them. I don't know. Maybe Reese Witherspoon is trying the same thing. She's pregnant, so maybe she has some sort of maternal urge where she wants to baby Arpat. I don't know. Huh. But that's where he's been.
Well, I guess there are worse places you can be.
But the producers of I guess it is the last Twilight movie, Breaking Dawn 2, which is coming out soon, say that they are not going to scale back any of the publicity. There's still going to be all these appearances, all these red carpet walks. So we can only hope that something horribly awkward happens when all this breaks down.
It's not going to hurt the box office.
Oh, no, not at all.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No, it's Ellen Page.
Oh, this is a sad, sad story.
Oh, no, what happened?
Ellen Page left shaken by Twitter threats.
Oh, no.
She's so cute and adorable.
She is adorable.
How could anyone threaten her?
Well, that's probably why, right?
She's like a little baby deer. Actress Ellen Page has turned to the police after receiving threatening messages via Twitter. The Juno star has filed a complaint with the Los Angeles Police Department after she was sent a series of menacing tweets in June. The LAPD authorities have obtained a warrant forcing Twitter execs to hand over information relating to 2 accounts believed to be behind the disturbing posts, which have since been taken down.
So they don't tell you what they are, do they?
In one of the tweets, the user allegedly threatens to murder Ellen Page, while another reportedly stated,
Ellen Page, if you continue to date Alexander Skarsgård, I will kill you in public in the next year, be it in a club, at a game, in a restaurant, or when you're signing autographs.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's just jealousy right there.
How could you be mean to Ellen Page?
I don't know. I would like to date Ellen Page too. So let's get rid of the Skarsgård guy.
There were rumors that she was a lesbian, but I'm glad to know that she's dating Alexander Skarsgård. So
leaves things open for you.
Well, and now that another door is slammed in my face, Natalie Portman, Benjamin Millipede have wedding ceremony. I'm gonna have to go for Ellen Page next, I think.
Well, they already had a baby, right?
Yeah, I guess they've already had it.
This is the choreographer from Black Swan.
Yes, a little Frenchy dancy boy who she happened to marry.
So it's more likely she would have gone for you than for me, then.
Well,
you could pull off Frenchy dancy boy better than me,
perhaps, but I also have a manly quality about me. I do
you say that about
work,
yourself. That's nice of you to say.
Well,
I just heard you sing Rainbow Connection, so...
Well, that was... Women seem to love that. You don't know anything about women, obviously.
You just get yourself in front of Ellen Page and start singing that, and I'm sure she'll, fall right in line.
And I actually had a text message today from a friend of ours...
Yeah.
Who saw me in my construction gear as I was walking around because I have no car that works, so I had to go to the post office and then I was walking home, and she was saying how sassy and sexy I look. Well, not sassy. She didn't say sassy. She said sexy.
Stop the podcast. Stop it. Stop recording.
Why?
I want to know who this is.
It was
okay, good. Oh, I saw her today, too, on the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my hopes have once again been dashed. Natalie Portman, I knew she'd had a baby with the guy, but that doesn't mean anything. And now that Kristen Stewart turned out to be a bitch and, just a
Did you have any
woman.
delusions that she might not be?
No.
Can't you just tell by looking at her?
She always does look kind of pissed off.
Oh, yeah. She looks like she'd be
kind
difficult.
of attracted to that.
Well, we all are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't have any, delusions about it.
So they got married. They already have a son named Aleph. What the fuck?
Aleph?
Aleph. A-L-E-P-H. Maybe that's a Jewish thing. The interesting thing is that they had a Jewish wedding ceremony, and I don't know if Monsieur Millipede has converted to Judaism or not, but if you are an adult convert to Judaism... Warren and I are both coughing up a lung in here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you know this, Warren, but if you're an adult male and you convert to Judaism, you have to get a circumcision.
Really?
And it's not like the go to the doctor's office, get some local anesthetic, get a circumcision. It's get a moil in here and have a bris.
Well,
and you're 35 years old and they chop off part of your penis without any anesthetic.
Huh. Well, I wouldn't do that.
Well, neither would I. Luckily, I'm already circumcised.
I doubt...
So if I were to convert to Judaism, I'd just be, hey, Natalie Portman, you don't have to cut my penis off.
There's no way that this guy did that.
I doubt it. Well, I don't know if he even converted, but they had a Jewish ceremony, and usually they won't do that unless...
Both people have to be Jewish to have a Jewish ceremony?
I don't know, I'm talking out of my ass.
I don't think that's true. I think you can do
I'm just trying to find something wrong with him, because I know that eventually they'll have to be... I think the trauma to his penis will eventually cause him to leave the relationship. He'll take the kid with him, and then Natalie Portman will be open.
This scenario seems unlikely. He's going to leave Natalie Portman...
Because she forced him to have a circumcision.
Take the child with him.
Yes.
And leave her open for you to wander up with your banjo and sing your song to her.
Or perhaps Ellen Page, once I track down and capture the people who have been terrorizing her.
And then you become the new person that's terrorizing her.
Do not terrorize her. Terrorizing might be her.
Don't terrorize
wooing.
her from the Warren and Brad Twitter.
I'll use my personal Twitter.
Okay, please do that.
Oh, let's see. Elton John calls Madonna a fairground stripper. Says her career is over. Getting a little
I thought you
there.
earlier just said that Elton John was helping celebrities that were in like dire straits.
Well, the ones he likes anyway.
Huh.
Apparently there's been a feud between Elton John and Madonna for a while, but on Sunday, with an interview with Australia's Channel 7, John shared his thoughts on the Queen of Pop's current MDNA tour, and they weren't very nice. She's a nightmare, he said. Her career is over. I can tell you that her tour has been a disaster, and it couldn't happen to a bigger cunt.
No. He said that?
Well, it says expletive, and I'm assuming cunt.
I guess he's English, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. He said that basically she was a great pop singer, but now she's tried to do all this dancey bullshit, and that she looks like a fucking fairground stripper. Their feud has been going on for years. And in January, his husband David Furnish also got involved. After John lost the Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song to Madonna, Furnish publicly slammed her acceptance speech. Madonna winning Best Original Song truly shows how these awards have nothing to do with merit. Her acceptance speech was embarrassing in its narcissism, and her criticism of Gaga shows how desperate she really is. I have never heard this acceptance speech, but apparently she was not very nice to Lady Gaga.
Oh, I'm sure she feels that Lady Gaga stole her whole act.
Well, Lady Gaga is also the godmother of their son, Zachary.
So what is a fairground stripper?
I'm assuming it's somebody who strips in a fairground.
But I've never been to a fair where there's strippers.
Maybe it's an English thing. Maybe there's strippers in English fairs.
You think you go to like the county fair in England and there's like a little tent outside and there's
Hello,
like...
love, take a look at this.
And they're like, you know...
And Elton John goes in there and is like, that's the last woman I'm going to look at. Oh, I hope they patch things up.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Our last story...
Bollywood gets racy with Jism 2.
Yes, Jism 2. A new film that will be released across India on Friday stars a hardcore porn actress. Her name is Sunny Leone, is her porn name, but it is not a pornographic movie. It just happens to be called Jism 2.
So it's just a weird translation that makes it Jism 2.
Apparently, Jism means body.
See, it's a very confusing story because it's like the title says porn, but then you find out it's not a porn, but then you find out it's a porn actress doing a mainstream movie.
Apparently the actress Sunny Leone is her parents were born in India, and I think they emigrated to Canada at some point, and so she's been making American porn movies. But now somehow, for some reason, she's been cast in this Bollywood film, which is not a porn film, but there's been a huge backlash in India because traditionally India has been a very conservative society.
I think those Bollywood ones are pretty, they're pretty clean too, right?
Well, they were. They wouldn't even kiss for a long time.
Yeah, they just dance around and like long for each other.
They'd shake their little asses and stuff. Actually, it's only recently that they've actually started kissing in Bollywood movies, but now there's been... things are loosening up a little bit. People are starting to consume more Western culture. And so people are getting really angry about this. There's actually been a crackdown. There's an unenforced law that anyone drinking has to have a permit to drink. And they would never really enforce this law, but now they're starting to go out, and if there's women drinking in bars who are dressed in a Western sort of revealing fashion, they're starting to grab them and make them, like, accuse them of being prostitutes and not having their drinking license.
In India, you have to have a license to
Apparently.
drink?
Yeah. They're also suggesting curfews for women for their own protection. It's that very misogynistic thing of women dressing provocatively are asking for rape. And so we have to force them to wear caftans and be home by 8.
Oh, do it for their benefit.
For their benefit.
Yeah.
Because men can't control themselves, obviously. And so women, So hopefully Jism 2. Apparently they're having trouble because they're trying to put it on the Apple Store and on Amazon.com.
Oh, that's going to
And Apple would not do it unless they said that it was an adult film. They're like, but it's not an adult film, it's Jism 2. But, you can understand. It's a Sunny Leone, a porn actress, and it's called Jism 2.
They should just throw a couple extra letters in there, like an H. Like And
it's like we're not going to know. Well, I guess the Indian people would know.
Yeah, the Indian people know, but we're not going to know.
Anyway, so Jism 2 coming to a Bollywood theater near you.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show. They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Fair $1.
And give me a motherfucking cigarette.
I ran out of gas ways back.
You smoke weed, don't you?
Good in the car.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
So, earlier in the program, I mentioned that while going to attend IT Guy John's birthday celebrations, I experienced an excellent Street Freak of the Week, and I was not able to share it with any of you at the party because I didn't want to ruin it before the podcast happened. We save things for you guys, people. I don't know if you understand this or not, but there's things that I want to tell Warren about during the week, but I will not because I think it might be good podcast fodder, and I don't want to ruin the spontaneity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's a sacrifice.
That's why the podcast is so good, in case you're wondering.
Yes. So I was walking downtown, and I saw a homeless gentleman shuffling about, kind of, my peripheral vision, wasn't paying that much attention to him. But he called out to me. He was like, "Where?" And I went, "Oh," and turned around. He was waving at me, like he knew me. Uh-huh. It's like, okay, so I waved back at the homeless man, and he took this as an invitation for interaction. So he came closer to me. I was like, I've got some time. Let's see what happens here. He looked kind of like, you've been watching Breaking Bad, right?
Yes.
He looks like the guy who owns the scrapyard in Breaking Bad.
Okay.
We'll put a picture of him up on the website. He also played the TV Kramer in Seinfeld when they did the TV pilot for NBC, but kind of a more bedraggled, skinnier, homeless version of that man. He walks up to me. He's like, "Whoa, going downtown tonight, huh?" Like,
oh yeah. He knows what's up.
Yeah. He's like, "I'm gonna meet your girlfriend." I'm like, no, I don't have a girlfriend. And he went, "I'm gonna meet your boyfriend." And just started laughing in this strange, like, sort of seizure type way. It's like, no, I'm not gay. And he's like, "Oh, you gonna meet a lady?" It's possible. I don't know. You never know what can happen, huh? And he's like, and starts laughing. So we're like, all right, yeah. We have
guys got a good rapport going.
We got some camaraderie here. Yeah. We're men. So I'm like, okay, this is what's happening here. He's just, he wanted, I've noticed this thing a lot with the homeless people is that they want to talk to normals every once in a while. And they're very pleased if the normals treat them as though they actually are part of society.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Not like you're talking to a baby or something.
Yes. So, he's ribbing me a little bit. Yeah. I'm giving it back. But then he goes, "There's something wrong with my toe." Like, and this is just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really? What? Did you injure your toe?
I don't know. I woke up and my toe hurt. I think there's something wrong with it.
No.
Okay. Well, I can't see your toe right now.
No, he's not going to get your toe out for you, is he?
He had these kind of canvas Ked type flats, very bedraggled.
Like, yeah, my toe, it just really hurts. Sort of limping every once in a while.
Okay, the toe hurts. Takes the shoe off.
Oh, no.
Oh, my fucking God. Have you ever seen gangrene before in your life?
Only on TV.
It was the most infected thing I had ever seen in my entire life. I had one point in my life I had crushed one of my toes under heavy weight, and I just kind of let it be. And after a couple weeks, it swelled to thrice its size, and my whole foot was like hot and red and puffy.
Yeah.
And this line of red started traveling up my leg. It's like, oh shit! So I got a scalpel and cut it open and drained it all out and fixed it all up. This was purple, green, bluish, giant toe. His big toe was the size of probably half of my foot.
Oh, Jesus.
It was gnarled up and crammed into this shoe. There was like pustulence, weird blood and ooze dripping out of it all over the place. It looked like it should not be attached to his body anymore. It looked like it should be severed immediately, burned immediately, and buried in a graveyard somewhere. He was walking around fairly normally. I mean, he was kind of doing the homeless shuffle, but he wasn't like, oh my God, you would think he would be just screaming in pain with every step he took on this toe. It was insane. And so I went, as I saw the toe and said, oh, wow, you should probably get that looked at. Of course, I guess homeless people can just go into the emergency room, perhaps?
If you go into an emergency room or any sort of place where they provide care, they'll give him care.
Yeah, they will.
The problem is getting him to actually go inside of that building.
So I told him, you need to go to a doctor for that.
Yeah, go to the emergency room.
Well, you think so?
Yes, it looks very bad. It looks very bad. You might lose that toe.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he just went and got drunk somewhere and fell asleep in an alley.
Yeah, and it's possible they'll just have a fucked up toe for a long time, or maybe it will get really bad and he'll die from it.
I've seen things like, okay, that's... You broke your finger and you didn't have it set, and it's kind of mangled and weird, but it still works. That toe's not going to heal. That toe's coming off.
One way or another?
It's
either a surgeon's going to take it off or it's going to fall off.
I don't even know if there was still any life left in the toe.
Oh.
I mean, I guess there was all the purple pus and everything, so maybe there was something still going on.
Yeah.
It was horrifying.
This Street Freak of the Week is a real downer.
Well...
It just went from like...
It's kind of funny.
It started and then it got like gross at the end.
Well, it's gross, but...
Then it got tragic because we don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. He'll be fine.
They'll all be fine.
I think when they get to a certain point where they just collapse, I think somebody comes along and, collects them. Don't they? Don't they have radio collars on or something and the people come out?
There's like a garbage man that just goes around and picks up the dead homeless people.
No, not dead, but like when they get to the point where they can't shuffle around and beg for coins and get illicit alcohol.
Yes. At some point, if someone's like, if they're not, they don't die in a corner and they're on a street and they're obviously in pain, the police will come or an ambulance will come and take them to like emergency room.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
What are you going to do?
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warner Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week. They say things that don't make any sense. And then they do things that make even less sense than the things they said that didn't make any sense. Oh, they want you to buy them fancy jewels. But when you give it to them, they say you're a fool. Whoa, 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 whoa. 'Cause that's how women are.
So, I was out at a bar, filled mostly with hipsterish type people who I think take pride in not being attractive, or at least not trying to look as though they're being attractive, or trying to not look like they're trying to be attractive.
But it's a different way of trying to be attractive, right?
Yes. It appeals to a certain niche group of hipster people.
There's so many levels of like irony to it, because it's the fact that you're thinking very much about your appearance and then trying to look like you don't care about your appearance,
right.
So you'll appeal to other people that look like they don't care about their appearance.
But you're thinking so much about trying to look as though you're not looking like you're trying to look like you're...
But the person you're trying to attract has to know that you're like being
Right.
ironic about it.
Right.
You can't literally be in this strange way and not be ironic
Yes.
about it. But at the same time, you have to look like you're not trying hard.
Right.
Because then that is unappealing too.
So basically, yes, I was in a bar filled with people who were purposely trying to look ugly, but trying to look as though they were purposely looking ugly in an ironic way to attract other people who were purposely looking ugly in an ironic
Yes.
way. But at one point in the night, a group of like collegey, probably a little older than college age, but very normal, you might
Yes.
say, walked in, and of course, the bar goes quiet for a minute, and everyone's like, looks over, because they were wearing dresses and high heels, and that very...
They're probably out the dance club across the alley.
There is a mainstream dance club across the alley from the hipster bar. But one of the girls, quite obviously, had ridiculously large breast implants.
Ugh.
And she was wearing a very low-cut dress that showed lots of cleavage.
Yes.
And her gigantic round pustules were just protruding from her dress. And, even though all the other hipsters were making fun of them under their breath because they look so normal, like, oh, these skanky, conventional women, I was just so horrified by the breast implants. And when I lived in Los Angeles, they were everywhere. You
Yeah.
would just see them constantly. You could not imagine how many people have breast implants. And it just started making me think about things that women do which they think will attract men to them, and maybe in certain cases it will attract a certain small number of men.
Yes.
But for the most part, no men want anything to do with. So breast implants, number one. They are disgusting. Have you ever felt a breast implant in your life?
I'm not interested in doing that.
Have you? Well, sometimes you don't know until you feel them.
No, I don't think I've ever been involved in a situation like that.
I've done it once.
Yeah.
A girl in LA had never seen her boobicas out.
Yeah.
And so at one point when things got to the point where boob contact was going to take place, I went ba-bam and grassed onto the Broncos and just freaked the fuck out. I mean, I don't think I showed anything. Well, I probably did show something on my face, but I
Yeah.
was trying not to. They felt exactly the way you would think they would feel.
Yeah.
They feel like things of plastic filled with silicone.
Yeah.
Just kind of hanging around under somebody's skin. It's disgusting. I love breasts. I think breasts are amazing. I have no preference for breast size as long as they're shapely, firm,
Symmetrical, you
supple,
prefer. Yeah.
symmetrical. Then I'm fine with them.
Yeah.
You could have almost no breasts. You could have fairly large breasts. Getting as big as my head, that's a little too far. We don't need to get into all that.
No,
what I'm
we
saying
don't.
is the real breast is such a sacred thing that the fact that you would fuck with that because you think that men might find that more attractive is so disturbing to me. And I don't understand why any woman would do it. You ask almost any man, and they will say, I hate breast implants. I do not want to date anyone who has breast implants. If you have breast implants, you might get some sleazy fucker to want to have a one-night stand with you, but you're not going to get the kind of person you want to have a relationship with.
Well, it depends what you're looking for, I guess. Do you think the people that get the breast implants actually end up with the kind of people they want to get?
I don't know.
Or you think it's just something they do that they think is going to enhance their attractiveness?
Well, it's the
that
same
fails?
thing. It's the same thing with women who dress in a very skanky manner.
Yeah.
Being really, really revealing. And I mean, I'm guilty of it sometimes too, where I'll see a girl who, she's like,
You don't dress in a skanky manner.
No.
Okay.
I see. I was finishing my thought before I
Okay,
started.
yeah.
Where you see a girl and she's dressed in a very provocative way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's wrong necessarily, but she presents herself in a certain light, boobs hanging out, ass hanging out of a
Yeah.
dress, of a skirt that goes up to like just barely crotch level. And I might go, "Ugh," and leer at that for a minute.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, okay, I want to take that girl home to mom. I want to share the rest of my life
Well,
with
maybe this
person.
girl's not looking for that. Maybe she's just looking for that brief attention.
Well, yes and no, but I don't want to try to say that every girl is looking for the one to spend the rest of their life with, but I think a lot of people would like to have a relationship, and a lot of people don't want to feel cheap. People just want me because of my body, but they think that by dressing in this way, they're going to attract attention, and maybe they can't differentiate between good attention and bad attention. I know I sound like Grandpa Victor here right now.
Yeah, you do.
But I don't know. There's just this weird disconnect, I think, between what women think men want and what men actually want.
I think a lot of the women that do that are trying to attract men that have a different aesthetic than you.
Douchebags.
What you would call douchebags. The kind of guy that like attacks you and calls you fag on the street.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy they're looking for, and they want to like hang out with that guy.
Do they really want that guy, or
Yeah, that's what
are
they
they
want.
just like so a part of mainstream culture that they think that's what guys are? Guys are those guys.
Well, to them, those are guys.
Yeah.
and those are the guys they want, and those are the guys their friends want, so that's what they're going for.
But even the douchebags don't really like breast implants.
But what you're doing...
And even the douchebags wouldn't want to date the skanky girl. They just want to fuck the skanky girl and then, like, make fun of her and talk about what a skank she was afterwards.
Well, maybe that's what that's in a sense, maybe that's what they're looking for. They're looking for
You think that's what the girl wants?
More of a real-world type lifestyle.
Yeah.
More of just, like, a crazy, I look like a stripper, I hang out with the weird meathead guy that calls people fags and beats them.
Yeah.
And then we have this dramatic relationship, and that's how I live my life. What you're doing is, and I agree with you, is you're arguing against that choice of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which, to me, and to you probably, and to most people we know, seems pretty unappealing and pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
But I think they're behaving in that way in service of their ideal of what they're trying to be.
I mean, I see what you're saying, Warren.
Yeah.
And there's this weird line that I'm kind of treading here because I don't think women should be objectified, for one thing, but I also don't think that women should have to be, you know, I have to be like in a Muslim country and cover myself head to foot because I don't want to give the impression that I'm a wanton, like, you know, horrible woman. I'm like, you know, people should be able to do what they want and express themselves in the way that they want, and I don't think that there needs to be any sort of motivation ascribed to it. That being said, a girl wearing a halter top 3 sizes too small and a skirt that goes up her ass, I don't know. Women, I just want you to know, don't get breast implants.
But the thing is, the women that get the breast implants, the women that wear the halter top that's 3 sizes too small, you don't want to date those women anyways.
No.
Right?
But
it's
I might have if they hadn't gotten
No, you wouldn't, because there isn't like, it isn't like there are women you want to date who made that choice to do that.
That's the
They're
point,
the women you don't want to date because they're the women that dress like that.
Well, and that's the sad thing to me, though, is just knowing that, I mean, there are some people who say, I got these for me. I got these so I'd feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Well, what makes you feel good about yourself deep down? Is it because men are paying attention to you? Is that why you feel good about yourself? Yeah, people are going to pay attention to you if you have these crazy double D-cup breast implants, but it's not good attention. There's a difference between good and bad attention.
Well, I completely agree with you, and I think most people would say that, but...
And like I said, men do similar things, but I don't notice them because I'm not looking at men.
Well, what do men do?
I don't know. Men think women like cars as much as they do, and there is something to be said for like a woman maybe being impressed by the display of maybe wealth or power or something. But when some dude pulls up in like a BMW M3 or something, the woman will be like, oh, okay, this is an expensive car. That says something. But then if he starts talking about how much horsepower it has and the drivetrain and the traction control and everything, because he thinks that's cool, he thinks he's laying on the impressiveness, but then the woman's eyes will just glaze over and she doesn't give a shit.
But lots of them will be impressed by the fact that he has the BMW.
Yes, but that's all he needs, is just, he could put a BMW badge on a Honda Accord, and the woman wouldn't really probably even know the difference.
But that being said, you probably wouldn't want to date the girl who is impressed by the fact you had a BMW either, right?
Probably not.
No, because that's not the person you want to hang out with.
But there aren't a lot of women who are impressed by the fact that I do construction work and drive a 93 Volkswagen Passat.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
You're looking for the kind of woman that's not impressed by those things.
Yeah.
Where is she? I don't know.
I don't know if they exist.
You're just, I think you're looking for a woman that may not be there.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
That's how women are.
Yeah, they like to put pretty purple panties on. And then they turn around and tell you that every little bit of thing you've ever done is always wrong. Well, they like to cry when they stub their little toe. But no, they don't cry when they tell you to go. No.
This has been The Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com. And to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.